We have an absolutely packed show for you today on Morning Drive with golf all over the world in this Championship Sunday, including here at the Kingsbarns Golf Links, where Cara is standing by. Cara, what do you got?
Thanks, Matt. Well, IK Kim is the name here at Kingsbarns Golf Links. She set a new 54-hole scoring record in this event, and now, with a 6-shot advantage heading into the final day, she has a real chance to win her first major here at the Ricoh Women's British Open. Damon?
Well, Cara, a question here at Firestone. Can Zach Johnson slay another field of giants as he's done his whole career?
Speaking of giants, we're going to also talk some Rory McIlroy and that big driver he's wielding.
Love it. Charlie, what else is coming up?
Here's what I got, Damon. We're going all the way to the top. Jack Nicklaus is in action this weekend. We're going to watch and see what we can learn.
We're going to learn from a 21-year-old at the British Open how to gain some yards off the tee.
Morning Drive starts now.
The stage is set on this Championship Sunday. There you can see it. The weather right now looking good at the Kingsbarns Golf Links, ready for the Ricoh Women's British Open, and history that will be set in just a little while, or starting to get set in just a little while, because at 7:30 this morning you can catch live coverage of the Ricoh Women's British Open right here on Golf Channel. Good Sunday morning, one and all. Matt Adams alongside Amanda Bloominghurst and Charlie Reimer. What a day we had yesterday. Legends in the mix, and more to offer today.
Yeah, for me to watch Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Lee Trevino play golf, and how about Jerry Pate in the mix yesterday? I hate to give Jerry Pate a compliment. I really do. And I'm sure he's watching because Jerry doesn't sleep anymore. When you get that old, you don't sleep. But Jerry's swinging absolutely beautifully.
With the 5-iron still.
Man, he had a great time yesterday playing with those guys. And I love hearing the chatter, too.
Oh, it's so much fun. And one of my ultimate favorites, Nancy Lopez and Michelle McGann playing together, too. So it was so much fun to watch. I couldn't tear my eyes away.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're talking about chatter, Charlie, you guys have to check this out. This was Gary Player weighing in on where he stands as to Jack Nicklaus being the greatest putter of all time while the Golden Bear was in earshot. Here you go.
We've got Lee Trevino here is the greatest shot creator I've ever seen. And for me, the greatest putter I've ever seen there is Jack Nicklaus. You may have a different thought on the putting, though. Tell me who your favorite putter is.
I thought the best putter that ever lived was Bobby Locke. I played a lot of golf with him. I never saw, and he never putted on greens like this. Honestly, he never putted on greens like this. He was, but we don't talk about putters, you know. We don't talk about putters. When we talk about Lee Trevino, he was a great shot maker, and Jack, greatest golfer ever.
All right, there you go. So, Gary Player with his thoughts on the greatest putter of all time. What's your reaction? And I won't go in the background.
You know, I've been fortunate to get to know both Gary Player and Jack Nicklaus over the years, and they absolutely love each other's company. And more than anything, they love giving each other that giant needle. And whenever they get a shot, they take it. And it's a lot of fun to be around them when they're going at it like they were yesterday.
And he redeemed himself, though. He did say he was the greatest player. So he said, I'll give putting someone else, but greatest player of all time.
Happening now, folks. IK Kim with a huge lead at the Ricoh Women's British Open. Let's take you to some of the highlights of what took place yesterday. Inbee Park at the 9th hole. Second shot on this par 4.
And of course, Inbee with that same rhythm throughout her bag. She even walks with that same rhythm, Amanda.
She does. She is such a great player, but so consistent. She's a machine.
She would shoot a 64 and finish 10 under. Stacey Lewis at the final hole. This par 4 for birdie.
She had 9 birdies this round. There's the 9th birdie. Beautiful rebound after 2 bogeys on the back.
She would shoot a 65 and finish a 9 under par. Moria Jutanugarn at the 12th, that beautiful par 3.
Yeah, 112 yards. One of the things I love about playing links golf. You know, occasionally you get a short one like this, and when you do, you put that wedge in your hands and you take dead aim and try and take it right to the bucket. Right, that's a little too much.
She would shoot a 67 and finish at 11 under par. Georgia Hall now leading the LET points for Team Europe here at the 5th hole, the drivable par 4.
She's not a very big girl, but she makes total use of her size and just powers it through. Well, how about reaching a par 4 and 2 at the British Open? Runs right up to the green, chance for eagle.
She would make eagle there. She would shoot a 70 and finish at 11 under. Now, Kim at the 6th hole, putting for birdie.
You know you're having a good week when you don't like it, but it goes ahead, goes in anyway. I mean, apparently that went like in the left corner, and she likes them going dead center.
All right, a birdie putt there. Let's go to the 12th hole. Once again, this beautiful par 3. This will be her tee shot at 12.
She has one of the smoothest swings. It's very consistent. Beautiful ball striker. Played in some of the worst weather conditions, probably the only sun she saw all day, and taking advantage of it, sticking it right on the green.
You know, that smooth tempo when the wind gets up, not a lot of spin, the wind doesn't get blown around, or the ball doesn't get blown around by that wind. It really is a nice way to play links golf, not going at everything really hard.
And here is that lead that we're referring to. IK Kim ahead by 6. 2 tied at 11 under par. Allie McDonald hanging in there, 10 under par, 7 shots back, performing extremely well. And then you see some big names still in the mix. Speaking to that and more, Cara is standing by at Kingsbarns.
I am indeed, Matt, thank you. And I'm with the lady that won this championship 13 years ago, the 2004 Ricoh Women's British Open champion, Karen Staples. And actually, Karen, it is a lovely story because Georgia Hall, of course, is an Englishwoman trying to become the first Englishwoman to win this title since you did 13 years ago. You must have enjoyed watching her play this week.
It was, and the crazy thing about it is the English lady who won it 13 years before me was Penny Grice-Whittaker, so there's been a time difference of 13 years in between English women winning. So Georgia, though, unfortunately, I think is going to have to play some seriously good golf to catch IK Kim today. Yeah,
tricky putting towards the end yesterday, and we know she 4-putted 17. We'll move on to the lady that is, of course, leading this championship, IK Kim, looking to notch what would actually be her 3rd win in just over 2 months. She's definitely come into this with a string of form. She would actually be also the 5th Korean winner of the Ricoh Women's British Open. Everyone is drawing similarities, of course, well, not similarities, but reminding everyone what happened at the ANA Inspiration in 2012 when she just came a few inches away from winning a major. Do you think she has it in her to maintain this lead today and get the job done?
You know what, Cara, I actually really do. She's been playing so consistently and so steady, and I've actually been fortunate to watch those previous 2 wins this year, one in Toledo and one in Atlantic City. Both of the courses were fairly short courses, the ball was running out fairly well, and this golf course plays right into her hands. You don't have to hit the ball a long way to score on this course, and that's exactly what she's doing. And then, of course, she's making so many putts out there. She says she's finally happy with herself, and she's actually forgiven herself for what happened at the ANA Inspiration. I had a chance a couple of years ago to talk to her caddy at the time, Terry McNamara, who said that she really took it very badly and that she didn't really admit to herself the hurt and the pain that it caused from missing that putt and not being able to call herself a major champion. And I think that's what we're seeing, that final forgiveness, that she's okay with herself as a person and a player, is now transferring onto the golf course.
Yeah, said she's given up beating herself up about things, and actually says it's a real privilege to play this golf course. She's certainly fallen in love with Kingsbarns. Now today she will be in the final group with a Jutanigan, but perhaps not the one that people may have expected. The defending champion, of course, Aria, missed the cut here. It is older sister Moria who will be playing in the final group for major championship for the very first time. That's pretty cool for the Jutanigan family, first of all, that she's in the mix as well.
It is, and to have back-to-back potential sisters winning a major championship, that's very impressive. But Moria has really come into her own this year, kind of stepping out of her sister's shadow in many respects, in that she's putting in some good results. She's played in the final group in a number of events. Funnily enough, also on the same courses as IK Kim, where she's putting herself into contention. So similar kind of golfing styles, and I think some players really need to be there in order to know what it is that they have to do on the final day to go ahead and win. The fact that IK Kim has such a big lead might take a little bit of pressure off Moria, and you never know, if she could get off to a fast start, that might change things as we go into the back 9 later on today.
Be interesting to see if younger sister Aria comes up to watch her in that final group today. Now, it's not all about this major championship today because there's a little bit of business to take place before the close of play. The Solheim Cup teams will be finalised this evening with final qualification closing. Both captains making their picks tonight. Annika has 4 for the European team. Julie Inkster has 2 for the American team. Who are you expecting to get those? Do you think there could be any surprises depending on what we see play out today?
It really just depends on I think Angel Yin is the big question on the American team. If she plays well and gets herself into the top 5, she's going to be automatically in, and then that really kind of handcuffs Julie as to who she's going to pick. I think Brittany Lincecum, potentially becomes a pick then, and how that pans out. But I don't think if Angel Yin doesn't make it in there on world ranking, I'm not so sure she would get the pick. I think that Julie is looking towards players that she knows what she's going to get from, and I think that for her, she has to pick maybe one seasoned player, and out of the two we're looking at right now, you're looking at a Morgan Pressel or a Paula Creamer. I like Morgan Pressel in the Solheim Cup. She's so tough when it comes to match play. She just gets stuck in, and I know that she will rise to the occasion, and as Julie says, she knows what she's going to get from her. On the European side, I think, obviously Anna Norquist is going to have to be a pick now, and I think Annika's going to stick with a couple of other players that she knows. Maybe a Masson will get in there too, but I also have a feeling that she might want to throw a few surprises in there too. There are a couple of good Scandinavian players that have been playing slightly well, and Emily Pedersen, who has been described as the next Suzanne Pedersen in terms of her fiery attitude on the golf course, and that's always good in the Solheim Cup. So I think there could be a few rookies being thrown in the mix, and it's going to be a fun time to watch. And I know that I wouldn't want to be in Julie or Annika's shoes having to make these decisions and tell the players, the ones that are close, that they're actually not going to play.
Magdalene Sagstrom is one of those names that you might want to keep an eye on. She could be a rookie pick. Of course, she had a blockbuster year on the Symetra Tour last year. We'll have to wait and see, Matt, because that all comes this evening upon the close of play here at the Ricoh Women's British Open.
Cara and Karen, thank you very much. Happening now, Zach Johnson and Thomas Pieters co-lead the World Golf Championships Bridgestone Invitational. Isn't it a testament to a great golf course that two players who are approaching a tournament in drastically different ways can both be atop the leaderboard? Let's take a look at the leaderboard now. There you see it. Their names both on the mark of 9 under par. Scott Hend, the veteran campaigner, only one shot back after a 63 yesterday. And as you would expect at a World Golf Championship event, the leaderboard is absolutely packed with stars from the game. We send it to two of our stars. Damon Hack and Robert Dameron are standing by. Gentlemen, absolutely fascinating to see the combination of names on this leaderboard and to see the way they go about their business.
Absolutely, Matt, and good morning to you. And you hit the nail on the head, especially in speaking about Zach Johnson. He does do it differently, Robert Dameron. He's done it differently his whole career, winning on golf courses where he shouldn't, by all means win. Augusta National, a bomber's paradise. St. Andrews, supposedly a bomber's paradise. And here he is, tied for the lead with that brilliant round of 65 yesterday, playing alongside Rory McIlroy, who shot 68. How does Zach Johnson continue to defy conventional wisdom?
Well, you know what Frank Sinatra said? He does it his way. He did it his way. He knows his game. He absolutely is not scared to go out there and put a number up the way he puts it up. He's just going to do it with his putter. He's going to do it with fairways, really good wedge play, and it doesn't matter to him that he's being outdriven. He's not reaching for that game to look like the other big bombing superstars of the game.
And you have pointed out 16. We were talking about it off the air. How much was he outdriven by Rory on this hole?
Only 65 yards, but he did beat Rory by a shot on that hole. And one thing about Zach, and I didn't know this, his last 54-hole co-lead or lead was in 09. His last 6 wins are come from behind wins. So one thing I'm looking for is how comfortable is he with the lead? How comfortable is he in the last group? He's such a veteran. He's won so many times. You would think shouldn't be a big deal, but maybe it is. And another thing that I've noticed, just on a more personal note, he's been frustrated this year. I mean, it's a bad year. It happens in golf, but I've seen him, taking his frustrations out on Damon, his caddy, a little bit, or hanging his head quicker than he used to be, because that positive mental attitude and kind of bulldogish attitude has served him very well, and we'll see how it ends up today.
Yeah, said he really just started to find his putting stroke at the John Deere Classic, where he finished tied for 5th and then finished tied for 14th at the Open, continued to putt well there and putting well here. How about Thomas Pieters, the young man, 25 years old, from Belgium, really made that star turn for the European Ryder Cup team. He's a 3-time winner on the European Tour, and a modern swinger of the golf club, absolutely moves it. What impresses you about Thomas?
Well, again, if I were Zach, this guy would scare me today. This is not the guy I want to see.
Wow.
And for a reason. He's missed 4 cuts out of 9 PGA Tour starts this year, but a streaky golfer is a fearless golfer, a guy that can do what he does when he's on. He could forget all those bad rounds and the bad things he's done. You know, when he was streaking and no one really knew much about him at the Ryder Cup, the most pressure there is, he's just shined like one of the brightest stars out there. He needed to play great early to get his special temporary membership. 63 at Riviera, final round, tie 2, knocked that out. So when he's on, it doesn't matter to him that he can sometimes be off. He is fearless, he goes at it, fiery player, and again, he's going to be slinging it past Zach's T-ball by a few yards.
No doubt. Too. Also tied for 4th at the Masters and tied for 5th at the WGC Mexico Championship for Thomas Pieters. Much more to do in studio. Let's say good morning to Bailey Moser. How are you, Bailey?
Damon, thank you. Yes, good morning. Doing well. Appreciate that Frank Sinatra reference first thing in the morning. So we're going to have more from Damon and Robert on site at the WGC Bridgestone all morning long. Time now to take a look at the tee sheet. We're with you until 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. So Jack Nicklaus, he was back in action this weekend, partnering with Gary Player and Lee Trevino at TPC Twin Cities for the Greats of Golf Challenge as part of the 3M Championship. Now, Jack, he's 77 years old, but he's still got it. And we've got the scoop on what you can learn from the Golden Bear coming up in just a little bit. And we are going to continue our tour around the world of golf, getting you up to speed with everything that you need to know what's at stake on this Championship Sunday on the LPGA, PGA Tour, web.com, and so much more as we lead directly into that final round coverage of the Ricoh Women's British Open. That's at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And following the conclusion of play today at Kingsbarns, Solheim Cup captains Julie Inkster and Annika Sorenstam, they're going to each make their captain's picks, finalize their teams for this year's edition taking place at Des Moines Golf and Country Club in just 2 weeks' time. So coming up, our experts are going to unveil who they would select as their captain's picks for the U.S. squad and why. But we also want you to get in on the fun as well. So Morning Drive put out this question on social media. We want to hear who you would pick for your 2 captain's picks for the U.S. team. So send those our way and we'll unveil your answers today on Morning Drive. So much more Morning Drive to do on this Sunday, Championship Sunday edition. We are back in just a few moments.
All these shenanigans.
What? Can you hear them?